Hello, my name is Pastor Kris Kollar. I'm the pastor of Pleasant Valley Lutheran Church near Malabar Farm State Park and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Lucas, Ohio. Greetings. If you are following me on Facebook, there's been a long gap because I was on vacation. If you are following me on YouTube, hopefully this will be just posted the very next day and it will not feel like anything different. But I traveled and I was in places where it was difficult to make recordings, so I took a vacation and now I am back. And we are picking up in the book of Job on chapter 32. And in the book of Job, at the very beginning, there's the story part, which is kind of at the beginning and the end. Job is this righteous man. God says, look at this great guy. The persecutor, the prosecutor, Satan. We think of Satan as this devil that comes and attacks us, but actually in Job, it's basically Satan is a prosecuting attorney, the one whose job it is to say, hey, this one is guilty, and to bring them before the judge. And he says, well, of course he's great. He's got everything good. So God lets Satan take away all of his wealth in one day, loses all his children, all his wealth, and the next thing you know, he also loses all of his health. And his friends come and sit with him for a week in silence, and then they start having a conversation. And on much of Job, we read, a friend would say something, Job would say something, Job would pray to God. The friend would say, people that are righteous have good things happen. Things that are bad have bad things happen. You must be bad. And Job would say, no, I have not been bad. I've been good, and I want to know why this has happened. And of course, we don't always get to know why things happen, do we? So then we had a little bit of an interlude. Then we had a final defense from Job, which actually took a couple of days of reading. And now we have a new character. In chapter 32, we have Elihu, who also answers. And they think, well, he was younger, so he waited to speak. It says that. The scholars think that this might have been added later on to make the theology better, but for whatever reason, we now have a new character who is rebuking Job's friends, and then he'll rebuke Job. And I'm going to try to cover several chapters tonight, so we're going to just jump in. So chapter 32, so these three men ceased to answer Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite, of the family of Ram, became angry. He was angry at Job because he justified himself rather than God. He was angry also at Job's three friends because they had found no answer, though they had declared Job to be in the wrong. Now Elihu had waited to speak to Job because they were older than he. But when Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouths of these three men, he became angry. Verse 6, Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite, answered, I am young in years, and you are aged, therefore I was timid and afraid to declare my opinion to you. I said, let days speak, and many years teach wisdom. So isn't that a beautiful, respectful way? You are younger, you wait. You let the older people speak with wisdom. Verse 8, but truly it is the Spirit immortal, the breath of the Almighty, that makes for understanding. It is not the old that are wise, nor the aged that understand what is right. Oh dear, I have the sniffles. As happens when you travel. Verse 10, therefore I say, listen to me. Let me also declare my opinion. See, I waited for your words. I listened for your wise sayings. While you searched out what to say, I gave you my attention. But there was, in fact, no one that confuted Job, no one among you who answered his words. Yet do not say, we have found wisdom. God may vanquish him, not a human. He has not directed his words against me, and I will not answer him with your speeches. Verse 15, they are dismayed. They answered no more. They have not a word to say. And am I to wait because they do not speak, because they stand there and answer no more? So they're not talking. Am I supposed to also just stand here and not talk? Verse 17, I also will give my answer. I also will declare my opinion. For I am full of words. The spirit within me constrains me. My heart is indeed like wine that has no vent. Like new wineskins, it is ready to burst. I must speak so that I may find relief. I must open my lips and answer. And such a wonderful picture, new wineskins. And there's a verse later on in the New Testament, you don't put new wine into old wineskins, because the wineskin, made out of like a leather kind of thing, stretches. And as the wine ferments and grows, the skin also stretches. But then as it gets old, it doesn't do that anymore. And just the idea that his heart is swelling just like a wineskin would swell. I will not show partiality to any person or use flattery toward anyone, for I do not know how to flatter, or my Maker would soon put an end to me. Chapter 33. But now hear my speech, O Job, and listen to all my words. See, I open my mouth, the tongue in my mouth speaks. My words declare the uprightness of my heart, and what my lips know, they speak sincerely. This is, again, poetry, as much of the book of Job is poetry. So hear my speech, hear my words, I open my mouth, my tongue speaks. You're like, yeah, you just said that. It's poetry. So he's talking about the fact that he's talking before he actually starts talking. Verse 4, the Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Answer me if you can. Set your words in order before me. Take your stand. See, before God, I am as you are. I too was formed from a piece of clay. No fear of me need terrify you. My pressure will not be heavy on you. Verse 8, surely you have spoken in my hearing, and I have heard the sound of your words. You say, I am clean, without transgression. I am pure, and there is no iniquity in me. Look, he finds occasions against me. He counts me as his enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks and watches all my paths. So he's, quoting Job. Job was saying, I am righteous. I did not do anything wrong, and God is torturing me and punishing me. Verse 12, but in this you are not right. I will answer you. God is greater than any mortal. Why do you contend against him, saying, he will answer none of my words? For God speaks in one way, and in two, though people do not perceive it. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on mortals while they sleep on their beds, then he opens their ears and terrifies them with warnings, that he may turn them aside from their deeds, and keep them from pride, to spare their souls from the pit, their lives from traversing the river. They are chastened with pain upon their beds, and with continual strife in their bones, so that their lives loathe bread, and their appetites dainty food. Their flesh is so wasted away that it cannot be seen, and their bones, once invisible, now stick out. Their souls draw near the pit, and their lives to those who bring death. So he's saying that God works as these people are sleeping. He gives them visions and dreams and tries to turn them away from their evil deeds and keep them away from the pit. Verse 23, then if there should be for one of them an angel, a mediator, one of 1,000 who declares a person upright. So the word angel means messenger. So he's saying if for one of these many people there should be a messenger, a mediator, one who declares a person upright, and he is gracious to that person and says, deliver him from going down into the pit. I have found a ransom. Let his flesh become flesh with youth, and let him return to the days of its youthful vigor. Then he prays to God and is accepted by him. He comes into his presence with joy, and God repays him for his righteousness. That person sings to others and says, I sinned and perverted what was right, and it was not paid back to me. He has redeemed my soul from going down to the pit, and my life shall see the light. And of course, as Christians, we feel very much that that is the case, that we have a mediator who has intervened, who has said, before this person goes down to the pit, I'm going to pay, I'm going to redeem, I'm going to make them righteous before God and redeem them, which we have a Redeemer in Christ. Verse 29, God indeed does all these things twice, 3 times with mortals, to bring back their souls from the pit, so that they may see the light of life. Pay heed, Job, listen to me, be silent, and I will speak. If you have anything to say, answer me, speak, for I desire to justify you. If not, listen to me, be silent, and I will teach you wisdom. Chapter 34. Then Elihu continued and said, Hear my words, you wise men, and give ear to me, you who know. For the ear tests words as the palate tastes food. This is such a fun verse. The ear tests words. We taste food, our palate tastes foods, and our ear tastes words. Verse 4, Let us choose what is right. Let us determine among ourselves what is good. For Job has said, I am innocent, and God has taken away my right. In spite of being right, I am counted a liar. My wound is incurable, though I am without transgression. Who is there like Job, who drinks up scoffing like water, who goes in company with evildoers and walks with the wicked? For he has said, It profits one nothing to take delight in God. So he too is accusing that Job is one that goes about scoffing and goes around with wicked people. Verse 10, Therefore hear me, you who have sense. Far be it from God that he should do wickedness, and from the Almighty that he should do wrong. For according to their deeds he will repay them, and according to their ways he will make it befall them. Verse 12, Of a truth God will not do wickedly, and the Almighty will not pervert justice. Who gave him charge over the earth, and who laid on him the whole world? If he should take back his spirit to himself, and gather himself his breath, all flesh would perish together, and all mortals return to dust. So he's saying that everybody gets paid according to what they do, and God will not do wicked, and all of us are sustained, all of us have breath because of God's breath. If God were to turn away, we would crumble into dust. Verse 16, If you have understanding, hear this, listen to what I say. Shall one who hates justice govern? Will you condemn one who is righteous and mighty, who says to a king, You scoundrel, and to princes, You wicked men? Who shows no partiality to nobles, no regards to the rich more than the poor, for they are all the work of his hands. In a moment they die. At midnight the people are shaken and pass away, and the mighty are taken by no human hand. Verse 21, For his eyes are upon the ways of mortals, and he sees all their steps. There is no gloom or deep darkness where evildoers may hide themselves, for he has not appointed a time for anyone to go before God in judgment. He shatters the mighty without investigation, and sets others in their place. Thus, knowing their works, he overturns them in the night, and they are crushed. He strikes them for their wickedness, while others look on, because they turned aside from following him, and had no regard for any of his ways, so that they caused the cry of the poor to come to him, and he heard the cry of the afflicted. When he is quiet, who can condemn? When he hides his face, who can behold him, whether it be a nation or an individual, so that the godless should not reign, or those who ensnare the people? Verse 31, For has anyone said to God, I have endured punishment, I will not offend any more. Teach me what I do not see. If I have done iniquity, well, I will do it no more. Will he then pay back to suit you because you reject it? For you must choose and not I, and therefore declare what you know. Those who have sense will say to me, and the wise who hear me will say, Job speaks without knowledge, his words are without insight. Would that Job were tried to the limit, because his answers are those of the wicked. For he adds rebellion to his sin, he claps his hands among us, and multiplies his words against God. So Elihu, like the other two friends, are saying that Job obviously is guilty, and he is not only guilty, maybe he's not guilty of anything right up front, but he is talking back to God. He is rebellious, he is insolent, and self-righteous is what we come up with next. Chapter 35. Elihu continued and said, Do you think this is to be just? You say, I am in the right before God. If you ask, what advantage have I? How am I better off than if I had sinned? I will answer you, and your friends with you. Look at the heavens and see. Observe the clouds which are higher than you. If you have sinned, what do you accomplish against him? And if your transgressions are multiplied, what do you do to him? If you are righteous, what do you give to him? And what does he receive from your hand? So if you're bad, how does it affect God? And if you're good, what does it do for God? What good thing do you do that adds anything to God? What bad thing do you do that takes anything away from God? Verse 8, your wickedness affects others like you, and your righteousness other human beings. I actually really like that verse. Our wickedness and our righteousness doesn't affect God, but it does have a big impact on other human beings around us. When we choose a way of righteousness, when we take care of people on the edges, widows, orphans, strangers, when we take care of people, that is all the way through the Old Testament. That is what righteousness is, as well as in the New Testament. When we are righteous, it affects other humans. When we are sinful, it affects other humans. And neither of those have any change to God as God, whether we are righteous or not, and we have no ability to change God. Verse 9, because of the multitude of oppressions people cry out. They call for help because of the arm of the mighty. But no one says, where is God my Maker, who gives strength in the night, who teaches us more than the animals of the earth, and makes us wiser than the birds of the air? There they cry out, but he does not answer, because of the pride of evildoers. Surely God does not hear an empty cry, nor does the Almighty regard it. How much less when you say that you do not see him, that is the case before him, and you are waiting for him. Verse 15, and now, because his anger does not punish, and he does not greatly heed transgression. Job opens his mouth in empty talk. He multiplies words without knowledge. Verse 36. I do this every time. Chapter 36. Elihu continued and said, Bear with me a little, and I will show you, for I have yet something to say on God's behalf. I will bring my knowledge from far away, and ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my words are not false. One who is perfect in knowledge is with you. Verse 5, surely God is mighty, and does not despise any. He is mighty in strength of understanding. He does not keep the wicked alive, but gives the afflicted their right. He does not withdraw his eyes from the righteous, but with kings on the throne, he sets them forever, and they are exalted. And if they are bound in fetters and caught in the cords of affliction, then he declares to them their work and their transgressions, that they are behaving arrogantly. He opens their ears to instruction, and commands that they return from iniquity. If they listen and serve him, they complete their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasantness. But if they do not listen, they shall perish by the sword, and die without knowledge. So once again, Elihu is agreeing with the others, in one sense, that if somebody is righteous, that they're going to end up in prosperity, and if they're not righteous, they're going to die by the sword. Verse 13, the godless in heart cherish anger. They do not cry for help when he binds them. They die in their youth, and their life ends in shame. He delivers the afflicted by their affliction, and opens their ear by adversity. He also allured you out of distress, and to a broad place where there was no constraint, and what was set on your table was full of fatness. But you are obsessed with the case of the wicked. Judgment and justice seize you. Beware that wrath does not entice you into scoffing, and do not let the greatness of the ransom turn you aside. Will your cry avail to keep you from distress, or will all the force of your strength? Do not long for the night, when people are cut off of their place. Beware, do not turn to iniquity. Because of that you will have been tried by affliction. See, God is exalted in his power. Who is a teacher like him? Who has prescribed for him his way, or who can say, you have done wrong? So He's agreeing with the friends, but he's not. He's basically saying that Job has done wrong and God is gracious and great, and you can't do anything to change God. Verse 34, remember to extol his work, of which mortals have sung. All people have looked on it. Everyone watches it from far away. Surely God is great, for we do not know him. The number of his years is unsearchable, for he draws up the drops of water. He distills his mist in rain, which the skies pour down, and drop upon mortals abundantly. Can anyone understand the spreading of the clouds, the thundering of his pavilion? See, he scatters his lightning around him and covers the roots of the sea. For by these he governs peoples, he gives food in abundance. He covers his hands with lightning and commands it to strike the mark. Its crashing tells about him. He is jealous with anger against iniquity. Oh my goodness, I was hoping to get through one more chapter. Well, it's a short chapter. Elihu is still talking about the quality of God, that God does not like iniquity, and that he is massive and amazing and has lightning and thunder. Chapter 37, at this also my heart trembles and leaps out of its place. Listen, listen to the thunder of his voice and the rumbling that comes from his mouth. Under the whole heaven he lets it loose, and is lightning to the corners of the earth. After it his voice roars, he thunders with his majestic voice, and he does not restrain the lightnings when his voice is heard. God thunders wondrously with his voice. He does great things that we cannot comprehend. Verse 6, for to the snow, he says, fall on the earth, and the shower of rain, his heavy shower of rain, serves as a sign on everyone's hand, so that all whom he has made may know it. Then the animals go to their lairs and remain in their dens. From its chamber comes the whirlwind, and cold from the scattering winds. By the breath of God ice is given, and the broad waters are frozen fast. He loads the thick cloud with moisture. The clouds scatter his lightning. They turn round and round by his guidance, to accomplish all that he commands them, on the face of the habitable world. Verse 13, whether for correction, or for his land, or for love, he causes it to happen. Hear this, O Job. Stop and consider the wondrous works of God. Do you know how God lays his command upon them, and causes the lightning of his cloud to shine? Do you know the balancing of the clouds, the wondrous works of the one whose knowledge is perfect? You whose garments are hot when the earth is still because of the south wind? Can you, like him, spread out the skies hard as molten mirror? Teach us what we shall say to him. We cannot draw up our case because of darkness. Should he be told that I want to speak? Does anyone ever wish to be swallowed up? Now, no one can look on the light when it is bright in the skies, when the wind has passed and cleared them. Out of the north comes golden splendor. Around God is awesome majesty, the Almighty. We cannot find him. He is great in power and justice, and abundant righteousness he will not violate. Therefore mortals fear him. He does not regard any who are wise in their own conceit. So that was a speech by Elihu, and it was a lot to cover in one session. Probably could have broke it up into two, but it was one whole piece of the book of Job, and I haven't read anything for the last week or so because of being on vacation. So I went ahead and read the whole thing. And Elihu is basically somewhat agreeing with the friends that God does what is righteous, and if Job is having a hard time, clearly he was not righteous. But what he does differently than the friends is he does a lot of magnifying of God, saying that God is so far beyond us. Can we spread out the clouds? Can we make it rain? Can we make it snow? Can we make it cold or hot? And yet when it's very hot, it's very hot. When it's cold, it's very cold, because God is way beyond any one of us. And how do we have any right to even try to ask God Can we ask God? We can't find God. We can't see God. We can't even look at the sun without being blinded. So who are we, unrighteous people, to be asking God anything at all? And ironically enough, the next section of Job, God replies. And we will get to hear God's reply to Job and to his friends. And God is not very, what's the word I want? He's a little hard on Job's friends, actually. But I do like the fact that Elihu is saying, hey, you're not God. We can't. I disagree with Elihu in the sense of, I think, yes, we can call out to God. We can say, I don't like this. We can say, I want to understand. We can complain to God. I do agree with Elihu that God is God, and sometimes we don't ever get to find out why something happened, and sometimes things are way, way beyond our comprehension or our ability to control when we are not God. So, tomorrow we will hear what God replies to Job. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord look at you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you so much for being here.